called Arcadia rather than Szczęśliwicki, which is one of the ones that we've seen before. There's a duck with her little ducklings over there. Another duck coming my way, maybe it's thinking it's going to get fed or something. Over there's a dog just barking at them, and when they come by he retreats, but then he barks at them again and they go again. This one's going to be disappointed because I haven't got anything to feed it with. It's just a film roll I can offer you, that's it. Not taking? Alright then. As you can see from this map, it's a long sort of thin lake going right up. Well, it doesn't go up anywhere, it all stays on the same level, but it goes alongside something where the road winds around it and then the road goes up. So I suppose you've got a map of it there, and it's apparently the Dendrocopos medius, the middle-sized woodpecker, is included in the local fauna around here. And there's a lot more water, as you can tell by the jolly flag irises, which are not in flower yet, because that's a July flower, isn't it? But now we're down at the Vistula level. This part of Warsaw has two levels at the same level as the river, so now you wouldn't have any big hills or anything between here and the Vistula. And then there's another level up there where there aren't many hills, but you can see the scarp moving all the way down there. The scarp goes all the way down one side of Warsaw, getting wider and wider away from the river itself the further south you go, until at one point the road becomes, if you like, the roads that you tend to be coming down it so gradually that you really almost can't see it. You notice it more walking or on a bike, but in a car you barely notice it if you go far south enough. Whereas it goes, obviously the scarp goes all the way up to the northern part of Warsaw, and most of the scarp land is not really developed by building, most of it's park. So that's not untypical of the scenes you'll see in a ribbon all the way going up the side of Warsaw. I say a ribbon, it's actually a thick area of parks and woodland going up the middle of the city, which is, you know, part of the green lungs of Warsaw. There are very large parks and green lungs all the way through Warsaw, making it actually one of the most green cities, certainly one of the most green capital cities in Europe. Hopefully something that will be enjoyed by the coming visitors in their hundreds of thousands. One thing I meant to say earlier about the London Olympics, obviously there's going to be a lot of people visiting London going to the Olympic Games later this year. I said that the World Cup was at the same time as the Olympic Games. Of course it isn't. It's the European Cup's on the same year as the Olympics, because this is the Olympic year, and the World Cup is on the alternative years. The European Cup therefore falls on the same year as the Olympics every 4 years. That's what I said in the last film, was a little bit confused, I think, getting the two big championships all muddled up. And what they're going to be doing later on in London this year is basically, obviously they've got a big thing, and they've done the same thing in London. They've had to invest a lot and get things done on time for obviously what is a worldwide, for a start, sporting event, and contains so many more sporting disciplines than just the football. So it's probably 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 times the investment to do Olympics than it is to do a European Cup. and so that means that a lot of pressure's also in England now to get that right. And for England to be saying, or for the BBC to be saying, don't visit Poland for the football, is really asking for reprisals, really, isn't it, for Poles and other people, Poles and Ukrainians, to say, well, then why should we send people across for the Olympics if you don't want to send anybody across to our country for the football? Mind you, of course, the reprisal wouldn't be particularly noticeable because the Olympics are vastly oversubscribed anyway, and you won't get a ticket for most events, and you won't get a hotel room very cheaply. So whether these huge mega sporting events are really very efficient, or a very efficient way of driving investment, I don't know. They seem more to me to be on the verge of cataclysms and real stresses for cities and areas. Certainly, as I've said before in a rant, as Huliganov, what's so healthy about cities? In a way, cities are quite healthy because you can walk around on them, whereas you can't walk in the country anything like as much as you might think. But effectively, they always talk about cities for the Olympics or anything else. They always say, well, what city will hold it? Well, okay, well, why can't it be a country? What country? They always talk about city. Why can't it be a region in the countryside? Well, of course, only cities can generate the amount of taxes it takes to pay for them, and only cities can provide the infrastructure to cope with all the incoming people. Hence, it has to be cities, really. It's really huge. I mean, even just this. I mean, I don't know how many millions will go to London for the Olympics, and obviously everybody then puts their prices up. So for business, it's going to be good. Hopefully, there'll be a little bit of profiteering in Warsaw as well. But the main bit of profiteering that could have been done, namely adding on a visitor's tax to hotels, was stopped by the legislation, so that we didn't have the ability to place on an additional tax on hotels during the sporting event, because the law is set up in such a silly way that if we can't claim special climatic values, then we can't have the tax. Well, Warsaw obviously has climatic values because it has such huge parks and everything, as I've just explained, but still it wasn't allowed by the courts didn't pass, or the government didn't pass, that Warsaw could have a local tax, or that other cities could impose a local tax during the football on hotel rooms. And in most cities in Europe, if you go, especially during special events, you'll notice a small additional surcharge on your hotel bill. And what that does, you see, is that pays for the tourist infrastructure. And it's called tourist tax. It pays for various tourist infrastructures, for various quangos to do interesting things and do destination creation, as it's called, in the various cities. And that pays back a little bit the inconvenience, and it is undoubtedly an inconvenience to the normal people living in a city, for the fact that they're hosting a very big sporting event. And seriously, I mean, maybe I'll have a nice look at this, but very seriously, it's a bit of a cataclysm when you consider that we're going to have 200,000 people from Russia coming here, and from Greece, and into Warsaw. I don't think any of the Czech matches are being played in Warsaw, but it may be, if they get far enough, that they will come in later. There we go. So all quite interesting. What I wanted to talk about, bringing up London as well, really, is that they've got or in England, they've done something like this. You're not allowed to pretend that you're to do with the Olympic Games and pretend to have something to do with it if you're not. So, like in all places, they say, well, there's a logo and you can't, you say you used to do with the Olympics in London in 2012. If you're not to do with it, you can't jump on the bandwagon without being a proper sponsor, an official sponsor. And so what they've done is they've now copyrighted combinations of words like London 2012, Olympics. All of these words, of course, are normal parts of language and thought, and it's absolutely criminal to consider. It's absolutely grievously against. It strikes at the heart of human rights to try and copyright something like that, because these things are the basis of our thought. We think in words and in phrases. So words and phrases, if you say, no, they're private, they're mine, they belong to me, you can't have them, then this is an attack on thought. I mean, without wishing to be too obtuse, I would say this, that originality only goes up to a point. Everybody claims to have produced some original things, but they're all made up of the same words, just as in music. You can say, oh well, I'm copywriting a certain piece that I've composed, and it contains the C major chord followed by an A minor chord, and shortly afterwards there's going to be an F major chord. So therefore anybody from now on who uses those three chords in that progression, they owe me money. Obviously you can't do that, because hundreds of thousands of songs have that progression of chords in one after another. It just so happens that it's a progression of chords which people think about a lot, which fall on the ear when they are making music, and so that progression of chords is used an awful lot. You can't copyright it any more than you could copyright, for example, a single note. Well, trying to copyright the words London Olympics in 2012 in combination is ridiculous. I mean, it should be clear enough to people when somebody's trying to pass off themselves as a sponsor when they're not, and there's already crimes of passing off. You don't need to go further and actually copyright individual words connected to something. When you do that, you're starting to impact on human liberty in a very fundamental way. People should be allowed to talk and think about the events that are going on, comment them like I'm doing now. If I put up a video on YouTube which comments the name of a sporting event, I may not be showing the footage live from the sporting event, but I'm commenting it, saying things about what impact it might have on the environment where I live, or how other people are reacting to it. That's fair comment, isn't it? Surely I'm allowed to talk about that and put it up on YouTube, and then the tags will go on that are to do with the sporting event, so that people who want to see that can find it. Is that against the law? Is that breaching copyright? Interesting how these bits of this vine have stayed on the wall when the vine itself has been taken away. These are like little feet that have grabbed into the wall, suckered onto the wall, that have stayed there after the actual plant has been ripped off. In Milinska. Had a friend once who lived down there but moved away to another country. Sadly. So, once again we come to the end of the next part of this. What are your thoughts on that whole copywriting of sport event names and stopping people from using them? Where are the boundaries of what these people should be able to do to prevent others from jumping on their bandwagon, but still allow people freedom of comment and thought and discussion? Write your answers in the comments below. Thank you.